Hello and welcome to another session in English language. And today we are going to be looking at a very important aspect of English. First, we are going to look into what you call structure. We're going to be looking at the use of the apostrophe. We're going to be looking at the use of the apostrophe. And thereafter, the second aspect we're going to look at is writing a good narrative essay. But before all of that, let us review the previous lesson. Welcome back. Like I said, we are reviewing a very important aspect of English language, and today our focus is the use of the possessive apostrophe. First, we must be reminded that the apostrophe is one of the punctuation marks in English language, alongside the full stop, the comma, the quotation marks, or what you call inverted comma, the brackets or parentheses, and the like. So we also have what you call the apostrophe. Okay, so today we are going to look at how the use of the apostrophe. Okay, we're going to look at that today. Alright, so the first thing we should know is that we use the possessive apostrophe first for what we call contraction plurals. Okay, it's used for what you call contraction plurals and possessives. So for instance, in cases where we have a plural case, we use the apostrophe. Where we have a possessive case, we also use the word apostrophe. Okay, so let's look at the first use. That's the formation of possessives. How do we form possessives in English language? The first thing is that we introduce the apostrophe and an S to the singular noun. We introduce the apostrophe and an S to the singular noun. We take for instance Ada's medical book, the child's toy, father's treatment, Tayo's car. Okay, so that's how we form the possessive case of singular nouns. We introduce the apostrophe with an S. Okay, but for the case of plural nouns, remember plural nouns end with an S when we did pluralization of nouns. So in case where the plural number of that noun ends with an S, all you need to do is only introduce the apostrophe. For instance, boys. So the plural, the singular number is boy, the plural number is what? Boys. So you can see that it ends with what? An S. So if we are going to form the possessive case for this, we just introduce only the word apostrophe. So we can say boys hostel. Alright, the boys hostel. Okay, so the same thing applies, okay, with girls, horses, you know. So every noun whose plural number ends with an S, all we need to do is introduce just the apostrophe with no S. The apostrophe with no S. Then we also have a situation where such plural number, okay, does not end with an S. So in such cases, we introduce the apostrophe with an S. For instance, we have men's club. Okay, the plural of man is what? Men. Okay, the plural of man is men. Okay, not the plural of men is men's. Okay, so man is singular number, and while men is what? The plural number. Okay, so we have child, also singular number, and we have children, plural number. So when we have a day for children, we say it's the children's day. Okay, so if we continue on that light, so when we have a plural number whose ending does not, end with an S, we introduce the apostrophe with an S. Then we also have a situation where the nouns have several words, at their ending. Okay, we have the president of Nigeria's speech. So we don't introduce the possessive case on the president. We introduce it on the country. So the president of Nigeria's speech, not the presidents of Nigeria. Okay. Okay. Then we have the president, the prime minister of India's visit to Japan. Okay. So then let's move on to other situations where we have close association, when we have two people who share similar qualities. For instance, Ren and Martin's grammar. Ren is male, Martin is also what? Male. So the second noun, or the noun closest, or what you call the latter noun, receives the possessive case, not the former, not the first noun. Johnson and Johnson's baby face powder. Okay, we have May and Baker's, not Mays and Baker, so it's May and Baker's pharmaceutical. All right, May and Baker's pharmaceutical. All right, then we can have a situation where the possessive noun is in the apposition. Okay, this is Sharon, the teacher's favorite student. This is Sharon, the teacher's favorite what? Student. Okay, so it's the apposition teachers, okay, that receives the possessive case. And we also have a situation where both of them, okay, would receive, separate possessive forms. For instance, Michael's and John's books. So we are saying the book belongs to Michael and some of the books belong to what? John. So we say Mike's and John's books. Okay. Then in a situation where we have ending S and it's having the hissing sound s, what we do is that we omit including what? An additional S. For instance, for goodness sake. We can't say for goodness's sake. We say for goodness sake. So the number one is that that noun, okay, which is an abstract noun, ends with an S, but also has the hissing sound. So we have what? For goodness sake. So the last S receives the what? The possessive. The same thing for conscience sake. We can't say for conscience's sake. No, it doesn't make what? Sense. Okay, so quickly let's move on to what you call the narrative essay. So like I told you, narrative essay is about storytelling. Majorly story what? Telling or giving an account about what? An event. Okay, most of the time you are telling a story, but not it's a form of what we call creative writing. And please, under storytelling, like I told you, your story can be factual and it can be what? Imaginary. Okay, your story can be factual and it can also be what? Imaginary. So take note of that. Imaginary stories or they can be what? Factual stories. Okay, imaginary simply means you use your imagination, and factual means you witnessed or you had a real life experience of that. So please take note of the following hints or tips when attempting a narrative essay. Number one is that the tense of verb you always use oftentimes is in the past tense. Is in the past tense. Okay, or you use the past tense patterns. You could use the past perfect tense. You could use the past perfect continuous tense. You could use the past continuous tense. So, but do not use present tense forms of what? Verbs. Okay, then also you should present the event or action in a natural sequence. In other words, we are saying arrange your thoughts in what we call a chronological order. Arrange your thoughts in what is called a chronological order. So you should follow a particular what? Sequence. However, you should divide the tune in which the actions took place into small periods. So for instance, don't mumble all your thoughts or idea or action in a particular what? Paragraph. Break them into paragraphs. Okay, so discuss one idea, okay, or event in a particular what? Paragraph. Like I said, don't mumble too many ideas so that your story does not become too boring, or your narration becomes, too boring. Okay, so drop the ideas or points which do not contribute to the unity and coherence of the narrative. So for instance, you might have to drop some ideas, okay, or some points which may tend to conflict with what the intention you have in your heart. Okay, so let's take an example here. A place of interest I visited. For instance, you are asked to write a narrative essay on the topic a place of interest I visited. So first, in your outline or in the specimen, what you do is that you write your heading. And I told you, oftentimes, write your heading in uppercase letters. Write your heading in uppercase letters, as you can see on your screen. Okay, then in paragraph 1, what you attempt to do is you are describing the place you visited. Remember, what you are asked to write on is a place of interest you have visited. So describe the place that you visited. Then in the second paragraph, talk about the preparation on your journey towards the place. How you slept over the night, how you had to put your things together, what did you go for, was it a picnic, how you were so anxious, to wait till the morning. Then in paragraph 3, we have the events that actually took place. So you give a narration. What actually took place? Was it a picnic? Was it an outing? Was it a hangout with friends? So tell us what exactly happened. Okay, was it an incident? Okay, so then you tell us what caught your attention in the course of the event. Tell us what caught your attention in the course of the event, and in the concluding paragraph, narrate how it all ended. And remember, you must give it a captivating ending. You must give it a captivating ending. So with this, I believe we've come to the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much for joining the class. And to refresh your memory and recall all that was taught in this lesson, I would encourage and love that you take the test that appears on your screen.